Older men often walk through a room full of potential and never see the electricity humming right in front of them. You've spent years building your life, your career, and your confidence, yet when a younger woman starts throwing signals, you freeze up, or even worse, you start talking too much. It's a tragic waste of a moment when the tension is so thick you could cut it with a knife, but you're too busy analyzing the logistics to feel the vibe. She isn't looking for a resume or a list of your accomplishments. She's looking for a man who can hold her gaze without blinking. She wants to know if that maturity you wear like a suit is real or just a front. Before we dive into the psychology of these moments, if you're serious about mastering the silent language of attraction and finally seeing the signs you've been blind to, make sure you hit that subscribe button. We're going deep into the dynamics that separate the men who get left behind from the men who own the room. Don't miss the next move. Lock in now. The first question she'll drop on you is usually some variation of, "What are your plans for later?" Or, "What are you getting into tonight?" On the surface, it sounds like casual small talk, but in the world of high-stakes attraction, there is no such thing as a casual question. Most men hear this and start listing their chores or bragging about a business dinner. They think she's actually interested in their schedule. Newsflash, she doesn't care about your 8 p.m. meeting. What she's really asking is there space in your world for me? She is checking for your direction. A man who drifts is a man who is boring. When you respond with a long, drawn-out explanation of your night, you're essentially auditioning for her. You're trying too hard. The vibe dies the second you start over-explaining. To keep that fire burning, your answer needs to be short, grounded, and low-key. You tell her you've got things handled, but you leave the door cracked just enough for her to wonder if she can fit in. It's about showing her that you have a life that's already moving, and she's the one who needs to keep up. That's the kind of energy that makes a woman want to be part of your night, no questions asked. The second question she'll test you with is more personal, something like, "Do you always get what you want?" Or, "Are you always this quiet, confident?" This is a direct probe into your emotional center. She's throwing a bit of sass, a bit of shade, just to see if you'll get defensive. If you start explaining why you're confident or, heaven forbid, you start apologizing for your personality, you've already lost the game. She is looking for the silver fox energy, that unshakable calm that says you've seen it all and nothing she says can rattle you. Most guys fumble here because they feel the pressure to be impressive. They want to prove they're alpha, so they start talking even more, trying to dominate the conversation with stories of their past. But silence is your best friend here. When she asks if you always get your way, a slow, knowing smirk and a few seconds of eye contact tell her more than a 10-minute monologue ever could. It tells her you're comfortable in your skin. It tells her you're a man who masterfully handles pressure, and that is a massive turn-on. You aren't there to perform, you're there to lead the interaction. The third and most telling question is the bridge to intimacy. She might ask, "What are you thinking right now?" Or, "Do you always look at people like that?" When this question hits the table, the air in the room changes. The playful testing is over, and she's checking to see if you have the guts to acknowledge the sexual tension. This is where most older men play it way too safe. They get scared of looking creepy or inappropriate, so they lie. They say they're just thinking about the music or the drink. And just like that, the window of opportunity slams shut. She asks the question because she wants you to be thinking about her. She wants to know that you're a man who isn't afraid of his own desire. If you can look her in the eye, hold that silence for a beat longer than usual, and tell her exactly what the vibe is without blinking, you've passed the ultimate test. It's about being bold but composed. You don't need to be aggressive, you just need to be honest and grounded. When you show her that you can handle that level of intensity without breaking character, she stops wondering and starts wanting. You've moved from a guy she's chatting with to a man she's ready to leave with. The common thread in all these mistakes is the urge to overperform. You feel the age gap, you feel the need to prove you're still in the game, and that desperation leaks out of every word you say. A younger woman who is drawn to an older man is looking for the opposite of what guys her own age give her. She's tired of the hype men, the tryhards, and the guys who act like every text is a matter of life and death. She wants a man who is a fortress. Every time you answer a question with a paragraph when a sentence would do, you're chipping away at that fortress. You're showing her that you're easily influenced by her presence. The real power is in the economy of your words. It's in the way you lean back while she leans in. It's in the way your tone stays level even when the conversation gets spicy. This isn't about playing games. It's about understanding the high-level psychology of attraction. When you stop trying to convince her that you're worth it, she finally starts believing it. You own your space, you own your time, and you own the interaction. That is how you turn a simple question into an unforgettable night. Stop explaining your life and start living it in a way that makes her want to be the one asking for more. There's a heavy silence that settles in a man's chest as he gets older, a fear that the world is moving faster than he is, and that the heat he once carried has cooled into something invisible. You walk into a room and you think you're just the older guy in the corner, but what you don't realize is that to a younger woman, you are a rare artifact in a world full of plastic. She's surrounded by boys who can't look her in the eye for 3 seconds without checking their phones. But you have weight. You have a story written in the lines around your eyes. When she starts asking these specific, pointed questions, she isn't just killing time. She's trying to see if you still have that fire, or if you've retired from the game entirely. She is literally inviting you to take control because she's tired of being the one who has to lead. If you're ready to stop being the nice guy and start being the man she can't stop thinking about, hit that subscribe button right now. We aren't here for the fluff. We're here to give you the cold, hard truth about masculine power that the rest of the world is too scared to talk about. Stick with me, because this is where the gap between talking and action finally closes. The fourth question she'll drop, and it's a massive trap, is, "Don't you think I'm a little too young for you?" Or, "What's the youngest girl you've ever dated?" Most men hear this and immediately get defensive. They start explaining that age is just a number, or they try to justify why they're talking to her. Stop, that is a beta move. When she asks this, she isn't judging you. She's checking to see if you are judging yourself. She wants to see if you have any shame about the dynamic. If you flinch, if you stutter, or if you start doing math to prove it's okay, you've just killed the sexual tension. What she's really asking is, are you man enough to handle me despite the gap? The winning move here is to own it with a smirk. You look her dead in the eyes and say something like, "I hadn't noticed. I was too busy noticing everything else." You don't give her the satisfaction of an apology. You treat the age gap like a non-factor because, to a man who is truly in control, it is. You show her that her youth doesn't intimidate you, and your experience shouldn't intimidate her. That level of zero fucks given confidence is exactly what makes a girl decide she wants to see exactly how much experience you actually have. Then comes the availability trap. She'll look at you and ask, "Why are you still single?" Or, "How has someone not locked you down yet?" This sounds like a compliment, but it's actually an audit. She's looking for red flags. Most guys fall into the vulnerability pit here. They start talking about their ex-wife, their bitter divorce, or how they just haven't found the right one. That is a fast track to the friend zone. You're turning a high-tension interaction into a therapy session. To her, a man who complains about his past is a man who is still stuck in it. When she asks why you're single, your response should be a reflection of your high standards, not your lack of options. You tell her, "I'm a lot to handle," or "I don't settle for ordinary." You frame your singleness as a conscious choice made by a man who knows his worth. This tells her that if she wants a spot in your life, she has to earn it. It shifts the power dynamic entirely. Now she isn't the one granting you her time. She's the one auditioning for yours. When she realizes she's dealing with a man who is picky because he can be, the desire to be the exception to your rule becomes an obsession. The final and perhaps most critical question usually happens when the night is winding down. She'll say something like, "I'm so tired, bored, what should we do now?" Or, "Is there anywhere quieter we can go?" This is the logistics pivot. Most older men, because they've been conditioned to be polite, will suggest another bar or ask her if she wants a taxi home. You're missing the layup. She is literally handing you the keys to the kingdom. She is telling you that the public performance is over and she wants to be in a private space with you. She doesn't want to go get coffee. She wants to see if you have the leadership to make the move she's been waiting for all night. This is the moment where you lead. You don't ask for permission. You state the destination. You say, "My place has a better view and much better drinks. Let's go." It's direct, it's masculine, and it leaves no room for doubt. You aren't hoping she says yes, you are inviting her into your world. The reality that most men over 40 forget is that your age isn't a handicap, it's your greatest leverage. These questions are her way of checking if you know how to use that leverage. She's looking for the old-school masculinity that has been bred out of the younger generation. She wants the man who doesn't need to be told what to do. She wants the man who can navigate a conversation, a room, and an intimate encounter with the same level of calculated calm. Every time you over-explain, every time you hesitate, and every time you ask for her approval, you are acting like a boy in a man's body. Stop playing small. Stop thinking your gray hair makes you less relevant. To the right woman, it makes you the only one worth talking to. When you start responding to these questions with the authority you've earned through years of living, you don't just get the girl. You get the respect that comes with being the man who actually knows what he's doing. Own your age, own your desire, and for God's sake, stop apologizing for being the prize she's been looking for. The lights are low, the music has faded into a dull hum, and the rest of the world has officially become background noise. This is the end game. You're standing on the edge of a choice that most men your age are too terrified to make. You've spent the last hour navigating her tests, holding your ground, and proving that your silver hair isn't just decoration, it's a badge of authority. She's looking at you right now, not as an older guy, but as the only man in the room who actually understands the language of desire. The tension between you is so heavy it feels like gravity. She's waiting for that final spark, that moment where you stop being the gentleman and start being the man she's been imagining all night. This isn't about luck, and it's definitely not about a script. It's about that raw, unfiltered masculine energy that says you know exactly who you are and you aren't asking for permission to exist. If you're ready to reclaim that throne and never let a moment like this slip through your fingers again, you need to be part of this brotherhood. Hit that subscribe button right now. Don't be the guy who watches life happen from the sidelines. Be the man who dictates the terms. Lock in, because we're just getting started. Most men walk away from a night like this wondering, what if? They go home to an empty house, replaying the conversation in their heads, cringing at the moments they talked too much or the times they let her lead. They think they were being respectful, but in reality, they were just being scared. They let the fire die because they didn't have the guts to throw the last log on the flames. But you're different now. You've seen behind the curtain. You know that when she asks those questions, she is practically begging you to take the lead. She wants to be swept up in your world, not bored by your excuses. The difference between a lonely night and an unforgettable one is about 10 seconds of pure, unadulterated boldness. It's the moment you stop overthinking and start acting. It's the moment you realize that your experience is your greatest weapon and your silence is your most powerful ally. No cap. The world is full of boys trying to be men, but it is starving for actual men who know how to handle a woman's interest with calculated, cool composure. As you walk out that door, whether she's on your arm or she's watching you leave, remember this: the power has always been in your hands. You aren't the one being picked. You are the one doing the choosing. Your time, your energy, and your presence are the ultimate currency. When you start acting like the prize, the world starts treating you like one. Stop looking for validation in her eyes and start finding it in your own reflection. You've got the life, you've got the stories, and now you've got the psychology to back it up. The next time a younger woman looks at you with that specific mix of curiosity and challenge, don't blink, don't stutter, don't explain. Just smile, hold the gaze, and let the silence do the heavy lifting. You've earned this edge. Now go out there and use it. This is your time. Own it, straight up.